Hello everyone, and welcome to the Microsoft Security Update Summary, where I will present a short recap of what was released today, May 12th, 2026. My name is Josh Daniel, and I'm a risk manager in the customer service and support organization here at Microsoft. I'm going to start this video with an overview of the release, and then I'll dive into a few vulnerabilities. Please note that the details of the vulnerabilities I'm covering in this video may change, and the authoritative location for information will always be the online content in the Security Update Guide. Now, before I dig into today's release, I like to compare it to the previous 12 months to see how it stacks up. There were 120 newly disclosed vulnerabilities in today's release. Of those, 29 fall into the remote code execution category. This is the type of impact that generally has the highest level of risk associated with it. It would allow a threat actor to install software and other high-level activities. We've been averaging around 24, just a little above 24 over the past 13 months, and today's release had 29 of these in the release. Next, I'll move into scoring, where Microsoft uses the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, or CVSS. This is an industry standard methodology to be able to grade or score vulnerabilities. This is a scale that ranges between 0 and 10, with 10 being the highest level of risk. This month, the highest scored CVE comes in at 9.9 on that scale of 10, and our average over the past 13 months is just under 9.6. Next, we'll take a look at the average CVSS score. This comes in at 7.61, which is a little bit above our average over the past 13 months of 7.36. Next, we'll take a look at the number of CVEs in today's set that are scored at 8.8 and above. Over the past 13 months, there are just over 11 on average in each release, and today's release has 22 of these in the set. Next, we'll look at vulnerabilities that were publicly disclosed prior to release. We've been averaging just over 1.5 over the past 13 months. There are 0 in today's set. To be classified as publicly disclosed, the existence of that vulnerability has to be made public prior to release. It could be a social media post from a security researcher stating that they found a new vulnerability, but they don't have the details associated with it that would allow a threat actor to build proof of concept. Or on the other side of that spectrum, it could be a threat actor that releases full proof of concept with all the details that would allow other people to build exploit code based on that. Next, we'll take a look at the vulnerabilities that are documented as known to be exploited prior to release. We've been averaging just under 1.5 over the past 13 months, and there are 0 of these in today's set. These are vulnerabilities where threat actors have already started their work to exploit customers, and thankfully there are 0 of these in today's set. Next, we'll start looking at today's release. We'll start with our overview chart, where those of you that have watched this video before, you'll recognize this chart where we put the Windows products towards the bottom, and then we move up the chart into products that are not necessarily serviced every single month. On the Windows side, we've been averaging upper 50s into low 60s, and so for the most part, that's kind of the same breakdown as what we're seeing here. As we move up the chart, we have some vulnerabilities in Office and SharePoint that have updates for them to address those. Developer Tools and Visual Studio, they have some updates available to address some vulnerabilities. The Azure umbrella, there's a handful of products that have updates this month, as well as some vulnerabilities in Dynamics 365, and we'll talk about one of those in just a few moments. There's a vulnerability in SQL Server, and that's it. Okay, the first vulnerability that I will talk to today is documented as CVE 2026-41089. This is a critical remote code execution vulnerability in the net logon component of Windows. This one was privately disclosed with no known exploits out in the wild, and has a base CVSS score of 9.8 on that scale of 10. The attack vector is over the network, the attack complexity is low, no privileges are required, and no user interaction is required to leverage this. There's no documented mitigations for this, but I will point out that this only applies to servers that are acting as a domain controller. So If you have a regular version of desktop Windows, you're not affected. If you're running a server version, those are in the affected software, but it's only those that are running as a domain controller. There are no documented workarounds for this. As I mentioned, the affected software is all versions of Windows Server that are in support, whether that's Server 2016 up through the latest Server in 2025. Next, I'll talk to a critical remote code execution vulnerability in the DNS client. This is documented as CVE 2026 41096. Again, privately disclosed, no known exploits on the wild. This one has a base score of 9.8 on that scale of 10. The attack vector is over the network. The attack complexity is low. No privileges are required, and no user interaction is required to leverage this vulnerability. There are no documented mitigations or workarounds for this, and as far as the affected software, it's Windows 11 on desktop as well as Server 2022 and 2025 on the server side. And the third vulnerability that I'll bring your awareness to this month is documented as CVE 2026 42898. This is a critical remote code execution vulnerability in Dynamics 365. Not publicly disclosed, nor is it known to be exploited out in the wild, and this comes in with that high water mark on the CVSS scoring of 9.9 out of 10. The attack vector is over the network, the attack complexity is low, low privileges are required, and no user interaction is required to leverage this. There are no documented mitigations or workarounds for this, and the affected software here is the on-prem version of Dynamics 365 version 9.1. So if you're using the online version, there's no actions for you. You're not affected. It's only the on-prem version of Dynamics 365. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to me talk about vulnerabilities in Microsoft products, and I will talk to you all next month. Thank you.